South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds held a ceremony on Thursday to commemorate the granting of a congressional charter to a Native American veterans group. Washington News Bureau's Stetson Miller was there and has more.
For years, Native American veterans have been pushing to have a voice here in Washington. And Thursday, Senator Rounds gave it to them with this new congressional charter.
It's now official. The National Native American Indian Veterans Group can testify about concerns they have before Congress.
They didn't have any representation anywhere in the United States, but there's over 440,000 of them with no representation, and that's not right. That's wrong. And today was the milestone of them getting a federal charter, which is way, way long overdue.
It was not an easy road getting here, with many people pushing hard to have a congressional charter for Native American veterans. That changed with the signing of the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, which some members of Congress, including South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds, were looking to establish.
No Native American veterans organization had ever received a congressional charter. I'm proud to say that 20 years later, your hard work has paid off, and the charter is now a reality.
With it comes a new voice and a big change, so they can directly tell their lawmakers about what they need and how much they need. The big milestone that finally has arrived.
So we're at the table now to talk about public policy issues that affect all tribal folks, veterans and non-tribal. So it is very, very big. To have a voice at the table is just amazing.
In Washington, I'm Stetson Miller.